Hey guys, Emily here, and today I have a video for my new teachers, okay? We have been talking about obtaining additional units to move up the salary schedule when you are a new teacher. Now, new teachers, you're kind of at the bottom of those levels, and what you want to do is move up as quickly as you can so that you can make as much money as possible in the position that you're currently carrying. So what we want to do is take a look at how to actually read a salary schedule and how to know how those additional units that you are grabbing everywhere you go will actually impact your salary. So, but first, I would love it if you would like and subscribe and share this video. Leave me a comment. I am happy to have this conversation with you. When we are new teachers and just beginning, the salary structure is a little crazy, and it's not like we just negotiate a salary. It doesn't work that way in education. And so what I'm going to do is walk you through a few salary schedules and show you how to read them, show you what they mean, and show you what these little additional units can do for you. Now, a little bit of backstory. So I'm in the process of just having my RECA Prep 101 and my new Teacher Success Network qualify for units for this year. And I've just got approval on one of those, and I'm waiting for the next one. And so it starts this conversation about, well, why should I pay extra to a university to get some extra units? And I'm going to show you why, because it really does make a big difference. It makes a big difference in your take-home salary from the moment you start all the way to your retirement. And so let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to take you to, let's see, we are going to start with Fresno Unified's salary schedule. And I first wanted to show you what should you be looking for. So all I did was Google Fresno Unified salary schedule, and it takes me to this page. And you can do this for any district that you are thinking of applying to, so you can start to compare where these are. Okay, so let's go through and see what they have here. You can see there are classified listings. Now, the first thing you need to know is that as a teacher, you are a certificated employee. You are not a classified employee. So we're going to skip through this. You can see some of the other positions. You can see what the management is making, which is always kind of interesting. You can see what your nurses and your SLPs are making, substitutes, and let me get to teachers. So here, Fresno Unified has a certain salary schedule or contract for their teachers and librarians. They are on the same salary schedule. You can see that there are different duty days for each of these salary schedules. So depending on how many days you work is going to affect how much you bring home. So that's the first thing you need to know, is how many duty days will you have in the position that you are looking for. Now, typically a regular classroom teacher is around the 181 to the 187 mark is typically a classroom teacher. The teachers that are on a little bit of a higher number of days are carrying some special assignments, some additional duties, and so they're paid more at that rate. So you can also see what teacher on special assignments are doing. So this is kind of an interesting thing. So we are going to go into this first one here, which I already opened, and we're going to look at what how to read this. Okay, so let me blow it up a little bit so you guys can see it. Okay, so the first thing that you'll notice is that this is effective for July 1st, 2022, which means that this is going to be the current salary schedule for this school year. Sometimes you'll see these a couple of years ago, which means you're working under a salary schedule that's a little bit old. Maybe your union will be negotiating another salary schedule, maybe not. It just depends. So this one here, again, is current up to this school year. Now, what you also want to notice is there are only two ways to move up in a salary schedule. One is by the number of years that you work, which is seen right here. Okay, these are the number of years that you put in, and the number of units. And that is right here. So sometimes we call them step and ladders. This is how we basically see where we go, because we're going to move over and down. There are lots of little nicknames for what we do, but we have a step and we have a column. So step and column, step and ladders, depending on where you're at geographically. Now, I will say that this is typically how the majority of school districts will lay out their salary schedules. California does this in most districts, but there are some states that create a different salary schedule. They do it a little bit differently, almost like a point system where you get certain number of points for what you do. And we're not going to cover that one here because that's not what the majority of districts do. I know Texas does something a little bit different. So this is, though, how the majority of schools work this, okay? So one thing I want you to notice first is if you are a non-credentialed teacher here, again, this is Fresno Unified School District, that means you don't have any years, you are just starting, and you are not fully credentialed, you are probably an intern, you are going to start at this mark right here, okay? Now, this means that everybody has to have a bachelor's, and the 30 units is a bachelor's plus 30 means that you have your degree and you've completed that student teaching that first year, okay? So you would start here if you were not credentialed yet. Now, what you can see is just by being a credentialed teacher, you're going to make an additional $3,000 more than a non-credentialed teacher in the first year. But what if you are a first-year teacher and you have, let's say, a bachelor's, and plus 60 units, which is actually could be a master's degree. Maybe not. My master's was 60 units, so that would put me over here. If you are a first-year teacher with a bachelor's degree above 60 units, you're going to make quite a bit more than that teacher with fewer units, okay? So each unit that you get, there are chunks or I guess groups in 15 unit increments, usually, not everywhere, but usually 15 units, you're going to jump over a column. So let's say that you started out, I'm going to go ahead and get my tools out here quickly. Let's say that you are a first-year teacher, okay? You start here, but then in year 2, you've also added some units. So in your second year, you have not only moved down that step, but you have jumped over a column. And so now you are going to make what, 52, about $6,000 more because of that year plus those units. So when I tell you, grab as many units as you can as early as you can in your career, the reason is the quicker you max out, let's look over here. And some districts are now going up to 90 units. Let's say that you have maxed out your units from your first year, but then you go to your second year, you're making like what, 10, I know I hate doing math, but 10, you're going to make $12,000 more because you have maxed out those units than a person doing the same job, but with less units. So this is why it is so important. And you can see there's usually a little information that you can go to. Let me go ahead and clear that. And we will look down here. So let's see what some of these caveats are. in Fresno Unified. And Fresno Unified is the highest paying district in the Central Valley, in the Fresno area, followed by probably Central, Clovis, and Sanger. Those are your top ones, but you've got lots of little districts out there that are going to have their own salary schedule. Okay, so you can see some other information here that you're going to want to know. Let me get my that tool ready. Okay, and this is talking about librarians. So teachers with 8 or more years of experience will begin at the level representing completed years of experience. For example, if you are coming into Fresno Unified with 8 years of experience, they are going to start you at level 8. Now that is typically true. So let's say that you start in one district, the HR is going to place you on the salary schedule based on your units, because you're going to provide transcripts from all of the places that you have been collecting units and the number of years. So if you jump in here, let's make that a different color. Okay, so they said, let's say you came in to Fresno Unified and you had already had 8 years of experience. Again, you maxed out that unit. You're going to start here with your years of experience versus starting up here, if that makes sense. Okay, so your years of experience up to a certain point does go with you. Now, what I've seen, and here it says 8 years, most of the time, most districts will transfer up to 10 years of your experience. So what teachers do sometimes is they kind of get a feel for a district they want to be in, and okay, I got 10 years. So 10 years kind of lets me play with it. And then if I leave the district, I'm not going to really lose much. So that is something to keep in mind as well. All right, so let me pull up and see what else we can do. I'm trying to, I'm wondering what these solid lines are. It says that steps below the solid line available only to personnel hired prior to this year. Wow. Okay, so most of those people are going to be retired. The general requirement for a unit member to be placed in class 1 BA plus 30. However, exceptions may be made when conditions warrant such exceptions. So you can come into HR and talk about kind of any exceptions you need to be. So I'm not going to go into a lot of these, but there are, this one here, you get a class 5. It's contingent upon 9 units of continual professional learning through professional development office prior to the beginning of the school year. Okay. Now, another thing I want you to realize is that districts will offer certain additional either stipends or bonuses based on your degrees. So if you get to that point where you have a BA plus 90 units, you're going to get an additional $500 bonus in your salary, your yearly salary. And they're going to, typically they'll calculate that and spread it out. So it's going to be a couple of bucks. You won't really see it much. A master's degree, if you've got a master's, you'll get $1,000 stipend a year. If you have a doctorate, you'll get a $1,500 stipend. Now, again, these are all negotiated by individual districts. This is what Fresno Unified does. If you have a national board certification, they're going to give you a $1,250 additional, again, spaced out over 12. And if you have all of these, typically in most districts, they'll only give you the highest one. Like you can't get 1,000 for your master's and a 15 for your doctorate. But you could check. You could certainly check. Okay. So let me see if there's anything else on this one, because I'm going to show you LA Unified in just a second. Now, if you have been with a district for a number of years, in some districts, they do a percentage over the, rather than continuing to create the years of service. So if you are an 11 years they're going to give you an additional 1.6%. And these are what you will be able to max out at those. So you can see that if you are in it, you know, teaching can be, it could be a nice living as you spend time there. You know, this is nothing to balk at, right? Nearly $100,000 a year for a 15-year teacher that has all the units. That's good. That's a good living. Now that's going to change depending on the cost of living for where you are. So let me take you into LAUSD. Okay, so we went into LA. Okay, so here's Los Angeles Unified. And you can see here they have a number of different units. I'm sorry, salary schedules, salary tables, same thing. This was last year's, okay? So 2021, 22, which means that maybe they're negotiating for a 22, 23, maybe not, it just depends. So you can look and see where you would fall on that particular for your position. They've got a different category for subs, different category for if you have an alternative certification versus a regular credential. So I'm going to take you to the regular credential, and I think this one is biannual. So I wanted to show you how this looks a little bit different in LA. All right, so let me make that a little bit bigger. And again, don't forget, you can look at all of these for your local area. And that's what I would do. I would open up different windows and I would look at like the top 3 districts that you're thinking of moving to and seeing who's going to pay you more and how many days are you going to be working, because those things matter. And then look at the benefit package as well. All right. So here with LA, they are doing, again, this is 2021. So they, this may be updating at some point. Okay. Here you've got your columns and you've got your steps. And here is where you would start as a minimum in LA. 1 year of experience as a regular credentialed teacher, certificated teacher. Okay. That is, and typically I think, let me see, I think they're going to do it down here. I think I already looked, but let me double check. They are not. There should be a place. Okay, here it is. So they are doing it a little bit differently. The years of service go this way and the units come down. So you want to make sure that you are reading what you can. Okay. So a teacher, a new teacher, first year is going to have start here with just your bachelor's. Okay. Now, if you are at that, you can see points in LA Unified equal units. Okay, so you're going to need to read the fine print on the salary schedule, but I did, and that's what it means. So let's say you're a first-year teacher in LAUSD, and maybe you're working toward that master's, so you could be starting here. And quite honestly, that's like $1,400 difference. To me, that's not good. Just saying. So yeah, you might want to move to Fresno. Theirs was looking better, wasn't it? Then you can also see each year you're going to increase. All right. And the goal is to increase in step and column so that you start to go like this each year. This is what you want, right? Because when you get years of service and additional units, that's awesome. So let's say down here by year 7, you've gotten 84, you're between that 70 or plus 84 units. That's a whole lot different than this person up here. Okay. And there are different salary schedules for your, let's see, change that again, for your master's. So you can see here, they give you a different level for your master's degree, doctorate degree. There are some additional pay things there. You always want to read what it is. Here it is. So the master's in LAUSD is $584 annually. A doctorate is $1168. Okay. So you do want to count these things. I do think, I want to say, I'm going to show you another one inside of LA because we can look at this a little differently. Here is their salary table. Okay. And they've got a C, B, or an A basis. And what I learned as I was going through this is the basis means the number of days. So let me see if I can find it for you. Here it is. So a teacher that was on a C basis is going to work for 204 paid days. A B is going to work 221 and 261. So if you compared that to Fresno, I'm going to keep that there. I know it's going to kind of be crazy, but let me see if I can do that. Fresno's salary was, see if I can find how many days it was. It's 185 days. You got to consider that, right? Like you're working more days. You might be making more money, but you might want to look at what your per diem is, which means your daily salary. Okay. One more. Okay. So that's something to be aware of. Looking at this last thing, and then I'm going to wrap this up because I don't want to confuse you, but you can see here also in LAUSD. Yeah, make sure. Okay. Here, they're giving you an annual salary and a monthly salary. So this is, most schools, you may work for 10 months, but what they're going to do is divide your annual salary by 12 so that you can get paid every month. And so that's what those two different numbers are in LA. So let me bring it back. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Okay, so hopefully that gave you a way or some points to look at and consider when you are looking at that salary schedule. But the main point of all of this is the earlier in your career that you can collect additional units, whether you are getting a master's degree, you are getting additional certifications, you are getting professional development units, such as through RECA Prep 101 or the New Teacher Success Network. You can get professional development units in a lot of places. When you go to conferences, they'll say, hey, if you want this additional unit for this, you just paid this university this much money and submit whatever your proof is that you attended. If you are not maxed out in units, you want to do that, okay? Because each of those units counts. I get a lot of emails. I'm getting them right now from teachers that are like, I didn't realize I was so close to the next column. What do I do? And it's like, this is why you have to plan in advance, okay? So with me personally, if you're working on your RECA, we have been approved now for up to 3 professional development units. That is huge, okay? You pay a fee, $75 per unit to Teachers College of San Joaquin. Thank you, TCSJ. I adore you guys. You are the best people to work with. But you pay them, you get that additional unit. I am in the process still of approval. This has not been approved, but I am asking for up to 3 units also for the New Teacher Success Network. We'll see if that gets approved. So that means just with me alone, you can move half of a full column almost, because you could get 6 units. Those columns are like 12 to 15 units. So that's awesome. Okay, that is totally, totally awesome. So I hope that helped to clarify some understanding about how that works. If you have any questions about the salary schedules, how you read them, how you move up, drop some comments below. I'm happy to add to those. If we need to do a follow-up video, I will happily do that to answer some questions. But again, The earlier you can make, the more money. It's helping your retirement. I know when you're your age, for some of you, it doesn't seem like it's around the corner, but when you're my age, you're like looking down the barrel. So you want to do what you can to position yourself so that you can make this career as lucrative as possible for you. And there are ways to do that. So hopefully that helped you out. Please like, subscribe, and share. Leave me a comment. I adore you. Thank you for what you do. Mwah. Bye for now.